Hello and welcome to the CDO magazine interview series. My name's Eleanor Treharne-Jones and I'm the CEO at Kensu. And I'm delighted here to have the opportunity today to be speaking with Steve Muskopf, who is the Director of Data and Advanced Analytics at IGS Energy. I mean, we're starting to see the kind of change in job titles with, Chief Data and Analytics Officer. Where do you see that balance sitting in the perhaps future career paths? Where do you see chief data and chief data analytics officers coming from?
Yeah, so I see there is more technical knowledge required on probably the CDO role than there has been in the past, just because there are so many changes. And I don't think without some technical aptitude, you'd be left with a lot of buzzwords, but little understanding. And the only way I could really see that working is if you're tightly partnered with, trusted, very technical folks who had the patience to walk through new concepts and tools with you. So CDOs are expected to sell to other executive, data-related projects, and it's my opinion that without true understanding, it can be difficult to articulate the vision and value, or even respond to questions that you may get from those executives. And that technology is changing so fast that we're more in the driver's seat. And in order to lead, you have to be able to get up to speed pretty quickly on new technology. Not saying that a CDO should be, have the same knowledge level as an individual contributor, but I do think they need to understand the concepts. And in my company, it's kind of always been a requirement. In fact, I think all the directors in our IT organization came from a technical background.
And what about the reporting structure? I think you report into IT. Do you feel that's the natural place, or are there alternatives as to where the CDO could sit within the overall organization?
Well, it works for us. So initially, the advanced analytics area was not in IT, but it got folded in. And part of that was the complexity of the data pipelines that were being built. It was just, I would say that on the advanced analytics side, coming from the software engineering side and seeing how things are implemented on the advanced analytics side, it was a little bit more cowboyish. There wasn't all these years of practice of building out how to deploy things and managing the deployments after the fact. So pulling the advanced analytics area into the IT department provided a lot of that backbone for it. So I think that makes sense, but I do think the exploration of projects and what we should pursue in that side should not be driven by IT. I think that should be driven more from the business. So we're trying to, foster those, share roadmap or do road shows with various business partners to help collect more project-related initiatives and show what our team is capable of.
Yeah, wherever you sit, you then have to build bridges back to the other parts of the organization that you need to collaborate with, because there's no kind of single path. Digging into a little bit more detail into kind of a key area of focus for a lot of chief data officers is obviously data governance and data quality. How do you feel? How do you think about those two topics? Do you feel they're intrinsically intertwined, or do you treat them as separate initiatives and projects within IGS?
So I think it's unlikely to have quality data without data governance. So if there's no control over your data assets, I don't know how you can ensure accuracy. So I view data quality almost a subcomponent of data governance. And I would describe data governance as being, good stewards of data assets, like who accesses the data, how the data is accessed, who analyzes it, who reports on it, et cetera. But again, those data assets aren't worth anything if it's low quality, and it's not worth governing unless it just puts your company at risk. So our stated goal as the Data Guild is to foster curiosity, discover opportunities, understand results, and enable rational decision making.
You talked about the complexity of your data pipelines as one of the reasons why it makes sense to be sitting within IT. What are some of the biggest data governance and data quality challenges that you have in 2023?
I would say that there's 3 or 4 things that really I'm hoping to tackle this year, and a lot of them involve implementing new tools. So one is a modern data modeling tool. That's something that we're pursuing because the one we've been using, I don't think has all the capabilities that I want, especially like the ability to show data lineage and incorporate with the data catalog. So the data catalog is something that we're focusing on. We don't have a clear for the entire organization. We don't have a clear list of who's the owner of data, where data comes from, classifications of those data, and who all uses that data. It's really kind of siloed, except for the operational data store where we've consolidated information, but there are people who are reporting off of more of the transactional system. So we need to get a better handle around all of that. And also, there's been an explosion of additional data. So our data retention policies need to be revisited. One of the areas we collect a lot of information on is usage, how people like energy usage and gas usage, those kind of things. And there's more granular level information coming. Our customer base is growing, so our data is growing larger. And just having retention policies around that is something that we're focused on as well. Another area that we're focusing on for 2023 is revamping our data portal and how people run reporting. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a separate system right now that's I view as a little clunky, but I think there's ways to make our reporting part of our applications itself. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, but we're really a custom development house. We have hardly any off the shelf software, so there isn't reporting by nature for a custom system. So that relies on my team, and I want to make sure that when people are using reports and things from a product, it looks like it's part of the product itself versus an external tool.
You covered a lot of ground there, and you talked about tooling, which obviously is one part of the solution, but how are you also looking to kind of create a culture of data governance within the team and within the broader organization?
Yeah, that's something I'm struggling a little bit with, I'll be honest. I took this role about 1.5 years ago, and since that role started, I was sidelined working on a large acquisition where we had to do a data conversion from a company that we purchased. But we're in the early stages of building out a community of practice that's going to encompass the whole data organization. So that's BI, advanced analytics, and RPA. And as we introduce more things like the data catalog and other governance, we're going to be reviewing that together with this community and including members outside of the data organization when we do implementation. So I think that'll help foster some ownership. We're also looking at ways to enable citizen developers. So we have quite a few power users who write like their own SQL. We don't feel like that should be a requirement to investigate data, though. So we want to expose to other tools that allow people to get more information about the data, like metadata about the data, and tooling so they don't have to be as technical. And I realize that some companies are probably more resistant or hesitant to support citizen developers, but I feel like it's inevitable, because if you don't build out those tools and processes, people are going to figure out how to do it on their own. But for example, there was an analyst in the business area not too long ago who built systems and like created their own database in the cloud, and it became part of a production process on the business side, unbeknownst to us. Then that person left, and we were left and asked to support it. That opens the company to risk, and data risk and operational risk. But if we had provided the tools for them to do that, there would have been a backlog of folks who could support that process, and the data would have been secure as well versus how it was being stored from his process. So one of our goals for that community of practice is going to be to spread data literacy and the importance of good data management and the risks that you face when you don't have it.
Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today and be a part of the CDO Magazine interview series. If you want to go and look for more interviews, then look at cdomagazine.tech. And thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.